This is possibly the most extensive technical review I've ever done. Series S is by far the worst. There's constant drops into the low 50s and a lot of screen tearing. You can actually feel the slowdowns when you're playing. Series X also drops, but it's not as bad. The screen tearing is also not a big issue here. You might see some minor tearing, but overall it's good. You can expect the Series X drops to be around 1 or 2 frames, but there are times where you're going to get these big lag spikes. PlayStation 5 is perhaps the best performing here. It still has drops here and there, but it's clearly the winner and can hold the most consistent frame rate. Now, can the 3 consoles hold a solid 120 FPS in campaign? No, not even close. Things are chaotic with all 3 consoles. Once again, the performance largely depends on the mission and the area you're playing. The more calm and easygoing missions get closer to the 120 target, and the really intense ones is where you get the worst performance. Series S again is the worst here. You'll get drops into the 70s during some missions. One improvement during that 120 Hz mode is a lot less screen tearing on the Series S. Xbox Series X is better, but it too gets significant drops. You can expect drops into the 90s during certain missions. PlayStation 5 once again comes out on top. Sure, it's nowhere close to a solid 120 FPS, but it gets the highest average frame rate. PS5 actually stays above 100 FPS for most of the game. So is Call of Duty taking a back seat on PlayStation? From the analysis I did, the answer is a big no.
Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and yes, you just got done seeing a video stating what's going on with Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It is pretty relevant, I think, especially in regards to this is just the base PS5, so just a prelude to, like I said, the fallout that's going to be happening in regards to Salt when the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out and we see the enhanced games coming. But that being said, let's get to the other Salt right here, right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I said, what we're going to do is get right to the Salt here, of course. Towards the end, we have a very relevant video in regards to Indiana Jones and kind of maybe downplaying some games and such here. So before we do that, let's start off with Nico. It's been a minute because his stuff is just so dumbfounding. It's crazy. I don't usually feature him all the time on the channel, but in this case, I do have to point this out. As you can see here, Metacritics for Dragon Age Veilguard didn't make any sense or don't make any sense. Where is this difference coming from with a laughing emoji? So he shows, as you can see, Xbox Series X critic reviews were sitting at a 93, but over at PlayStation, we're sitting at an 84. Can the classroom tell us why this might be the case? I'll give you a minute before I spill the beans, before I tell you the answer. Let me know. We'll do the Jeopardy music for a second here, or pause the video if you want, but let's get right to it, right? The reason behind this is, at the time of this recording, at the time that he was posting this, there was only 5 critic reviews for the Xbox Series X. Can we take a guess at how many critic reviews were there for the PlayStation 5? That's right, well over 30 at the time of this recording, at the time of that post. Kind of crazy if you ask me. So he thinks his audience is that dumb. Well, I got news for everybody, including his audience. They are that dumb because they buy into it. They may not look into that. And if they don't, they are bigger fools than what we give them credit for, because you can easily find out the difference in the type of reviews, the quantity of reviews, all that stuff there, right? But how stupid, honestly, just everything aside, how stupid does he think most gamers are? Now, if you're casual, again, this is why I bring it up. This is why I highlight it, because this is an issue. Somebody's going to see this, it's a casual, and they might think that, hey, man, clearly there's an advantage here for Xbox, right? 93 versus 84, that's almost a 10-point score difference. Apparently, there's some caveats and stuff on the Xbox side of things. I guess I better get it over there. They get folded into an ecosystem they may not know much about, and they're kind of getting the short end of the stick, if you will, in regards to the ecosystem in general. This game may perform fairly similarly. It's, this, that, and the other. But as a whole, as a package, if it's your first time diving in and you don't know, that does harm, that does damage. And again, in the long term, like I've spent many videos preaching about, is the fact that harms your brand in the long run, you idiot. You want to do all this stuff, you want to cap for it, you want to spend 55 hours in Hellblade 2 staring at walls and how they look as opposed to playing the game to try and compensate for the lackluster library and offerings that Xbox has been giving its fans. But I digress, right? Keep doing what you do and we'll see what happens with that. But let's continue on, of course. This is great here. So, Alexander Battaglia, right? My Dragon Age, the Veilguard review for PC will be out tomorrow. You can expect a comparison between PC and PS5, optimized settings, an examination of the extra ray tracing options on PC, and a general appraisal of the PC version's quality. I think DA fans will be pleased. And then, of course, we have Estal, the ass himself, making a question of why not compare to Series X? You see how hurt they are? You see the prelude to the PS5 Pro that I'm talking about and the theme of this video, so to speak. It really is coming to the fruition of what about Series X? What about this? What about that? This is going to be a long ride until that next handheld rumored version or next hardware piece that Xbox comes out with. It's always going to be what about, or it should have been about, or whatever kind of spin you want to have on it. I can tell you right now, first and foremost, let me answer your question, Estal. It's because the Series X is irrelevant when trying to compare things, and it's going to become even more relevant when the PlayStation 5 Pro arrives. Unfortunately for you, as an Xbox shill, that is going to be an unfortunate piece of information for you. But again, why they're not comparing it right now, like he said later on in a confirmation, which I'm not showing yet, but he does come out and state, of course, that, hey, it's hard to do multiple. It's easier just to compare one versus the other. Why not do the more popular one? Why not do the more stable one that's maybe a little more comparative to PC in regards to performance and stuff like that? I guarantee you're going to have a little more juddering, probably some more frame rate issues in regards to Series X, like we've seen in the beginning with the first-party Xbox game, Black Ops 6, stuff like that. There are certain games out there. Now, don't let me try to pull the wool over your eyes. There are other games out there for Xbox where they do have better frame rate stability for the Series X as opposed to the PS5. It's more few than the many as opposed to PlayStation 5, but it's still out there. Don't let me try to say otherwise. I'm being completely honest. Like I said, I'll always be honest with everybody out there. There are going to be those examples, but there's far more examples on the PlayStation 5 side. So again, Estal, hopefully that answers your dumbass question. As we continue here, I just want to highlight Snap Blast Play, of course, again. Sunset Overdrive, released on Xbox 10 years ago today. Insomniac cooked and have never made a better game. Now, keep that in mind, that last sentence, basically stating, and have never made a better game. So we're just going to throw Rift Apart out there as not a good game or a better game. We're not going to say Spider-Man 1 or 2, which are clearly better games than, of course, Sunset Overdrive. I have played Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox side of things. I thought it was a good game. It was a fun game, so to speak. But as far as that quality, as far as that mark, that special sauce, if you will, especially if you're going to compare it to Spider-Man 1 or 2, the quality and the leaps and bounds that they did, and probably took a lot of their learnings from Sunset Overdrive, implemented it, and then, of course, vastly improved that. I mean, this is what he's saying. Well, Insomniac didn't give over Sunset Overdrive yet. PlayStation didn't buy over the rights for that IP, or Insomniac haven't, or whatever the case is. So he wants to use this as another little dig, but, you know, what are we doing here? More lies to the community. Again, trying to pull the wool over your eyes. The casuals, again, might buy into stuff like this. They might buy into stuff like this. This is what's unfortunate. This is why I do what I do. Aside from making fun of it, having a good time with you guys, I appreciate that, of course. But on top of it, I also do it to kind of help get the word out, to kind of help counteract that. Like, hey, buy an Xbox if you want to do, but this is the reality of the situation. Do what you want, but don't fall for the nonsense here. Don't fall for the misinformation, right? That's the main clause here. That is the main reason. One of the big cusps of what I do, of why I do what I do, right? If I'm not quoting Zoolander, if that didn't make any sense or kind of was a little bit of a rebuttal. But let's continue on from there because I'm losing brain cells just from trying to comprehend his way of thinking. But let's go over to, of course, IGN stating, "We absolutely can't wait to experience the rest of Indy's latest adventure when Indiana Jones and the Great Circle finally arrives," their final preview. Now, the catfish is back, Andrea Piccinini, aka Joseph Cruz. IGN, quote, "Now that Indy is confirmed for PS5, he wants to put words in the mouth, we don't need to downplay it as we did with Starfield, guys." Now, again, in a previous video, just a couple videos ago, you guys seen how flimsy they are in regards to whether they hold IGN on a pedestal or whether they're down in the burrows. Do they take their word for granted? Do they cherish them? Whatever the narrative fits, right? If it's something positive for Xbox, great. If it's not, or they're worried about something, then they're down in the gutter again. In this case here, what I find awesome is this has nothing to do with it coming to PlayStation 5. If you look into the actual article, who wrote this article? Ladies and gentlemen, if you were to find this, if you were to research it, and you find out who made that article, none other than the great Xbox shill, Ryan McCaffrey. So, yes, Ryan McCaffrey is definitely going to be pulling some favors for PlayStation when he really doesn't like them, can't really stand them, only has their products just to say he has their products, constantly is on social media, bad talking PlayStation, backhanded compliments, this, that, and the other. On all of the little podcasts and segments on IGN, he states his basically disdain without outright saying he can't stand Sony and likes Xbox better. Every undertone you can imagine he does, but that aside, that's what's great, because then they get all up in a tizzy. And again, this is all before the PlayStation 5 Pro finally arrives and we're experiencing these enhanced games hands-on. They're already in a tizzy here. And of course, making up excuses of why they think this is a great game now and this and that because it's going to PlayStation. Imagine if it wasn't. It was still Ryan McCaffrey writing this article. Imagine if Indiana Jones wasn't coming to PlayStation, then this narrative would of course change and been like, oh, IGN's great again, they're fantastic, blah, 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 blah. It just doesn't end, right? It's just really pathetic to see. Again, a lady does not talk like this. They don't act like this in regards to consoles, or if you want to be part of that console war, they do not act like this. Keep giving that hand away. Anybody that still believes that you're a female is absolutely insane and probably need to be checked into that salt asylum. So, that being said, I want to loop around here real quick because I thought this was great. Snap Blast Play here. Trying to get a refund on Redfall DLC from Xbox and shows that he's asking for any updates, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Right? Pretty cut and dry, pretty black and white. The reason I'm highlighting this, folks, is because if you've been following Snap Blast Play for quite some time, or even not that long, in regards to social media, he has constantly, from day one, praised Redfall, how great it is, it's just misunderstood, it's this, that, and the other, it's fantastic, the DLC is going to be great, it's just a phenomenal game. He doesn't stop glazing over Redfall. And now, finally, as of right now, he's now stating that he's not a huge fan of it, basically, and that he also wants a refund for Redfall DLC. You can't write a better ending to a book on that chapter, or at least finalized chapter. You cannot write this any better. They just oust themselves. Why would you even share that? Why would you share that? Why not just keep it in there? You put in all this effort for months and months and months for Redfall, and now you're going to show a screenshot stating you want that, and then in the replies down below, which I'm not going to bore you all to death, he tries to kind of reverse some of that, but then also doesn't negate the fact that Redfall is crap and it's not a very good game. It's not a good game at all, as a matter of fact. But it's just crazy. They show their hand, and again, pathetic. The fact that these guys garner so many followers is beyond me. And of course, you got the Xbox folks or the PC folks making that content stuff. You know who you are, from Alex to Kaktenga to everybody, which we'll have them up next here. But they just don't focus on that. This is all okay, guys. But folks like my channel that's just simply stating what's being posted, not pulling the wool over your eyes, not sharing misinformation, they get upset at folks like myself. But this stuff, turn a blind eye to. It's okay, guys. Really, truly okay. But that being said, let's roll over to that then. we're pulling this was sent to me, by the way. I don't go looking for Kaktenga's content, don't care. It's pretty pathetic. We know how that all goes. But this was sent to me. And then, of course, the title of the video, as you can see, Concord developer Firewalk Studio fired. Now, the part that gets to me here is Sony confirms more PlayStation games are coming to Xbox with the question mark, exclamation mark. No, that's not the case. What a bait title. That's not happening, not anytime soon at the very least. If that were to change in the very far future, possibly. There's more of a chance for PlayStation first-party games to land day and date on PC as opposed to just going to Xbox in general. Kind of ridiculous. More of a fraud, more of a cuck as usual. I know it's a hammer on the nail every single time, but it has to be said, he's just a pathetic human being and likes to grift, but then wants to try and call everybody else out, but that's how it is. I'm sure we'll get more of the cronies in the comments. That's fantastic. That helps out the algorithm, so thank you so much. Appreciate that. That being said, of course, on top of that, let's finalize this video here with one more video here. This is in regards to XL Boomstick. Let's go ahead and take a look.
I'm also someone that will appreciate a slow, story-driven narrative. Now, I will say this. I don't necessarily know if this is going to be... Now, you talk about reviews. Man, I don't know. I just... This could... I put it this way. Even if this game was full-on third person and it was a carbon copy of what Nathan Drake does in his adventures for PlayStation, I still believe that they would dump on this game. And I believe that the scores are going to reflect that. I really do. Like, I have lost so much faith in gaming. And a perfect example of that is the tweet I put out right before the show went live of PC Gamer. They basically were invited to the same event that I was and played the same amount of time. They said they played 3 hours. I don't know how that's possible. I only got 2 hours and some change. But they said they got 3 hours. Okay, good on them. And then it was a complete bore fest to them.
All right, so like I said, kind of alluded to it, right? He is already downplaying, like, hey guys, this is kind of slow paced. I had my hands on. I got a little over 2 hours of gameplay. Now, those PC guys that didn't like it, the PC Gamer mag and outlet, they didn't like it as much. They somehow got more hours than I did. I don't need to rebuttal everything here, but the fact is he's setting that premise there. Trying to put it out there like, man, this is probably in his mind. He was like, man, this just isn't what I was expecting this Indiana Jones to be. I was expecting it to be more on pace with maybe an Uncharted or maybe a little more fast paced like Machine Gun Games or Machine Games was making their previous titles, Wolfenstein and all that stuff, just more of a faster pace, fun, action, all that. Where this is slower paced, been attributed to, remember the game Thief? Maybe you're a fan of that game, but if you're not into stealth, you're not into that stuff, especially first person stealth, this may not be up your alley. And then yes, some of those reviewers may not be wanting to check out this game, or that may hinder some of that score. So he's trying to just set that premise here, right? And that's interesting to me, just that damage control right away. He should be over the top, but at least he's, I guess, not being totally like Colt Eastwood was with Redfall when he got flown over and checked that out and said it was an amazing game, can't wait to get his hands on it, alluded to the audience and stuff, what that's going to look like. So that's what's crazy to me, so I love that. But on top of that, what we're going to do is wrap up the video here. Of course, every like, comment does help me out so much. So thank you all so much for your support. That helps me out so much. I can't stress that enough. And the thanks, I cannot stress that enough. That being said, on top of that, if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing. We are getting so close to that 2,500 subscriber goal. So close. So thank you all so much again for that as well. Just another goal I had, to just the ultimate goal, and everything past that, fantastic. So thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. And just remember, don't be a salty batch. And we'll see y'all next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.